Well, here we are. We're ready to start another project. This one is the forklifts for the Kubota tractor. Right now we have these portable temporary ones that you can turn the screws on and tighten them down into the bucket. They do the job. I've been able to move pallets around, move lumber around, move logs around, do the job that they're meant to do. They do have some drawbacks, and this project is to try and correct those drawbacks. The first drawback, I would say, is every time you go to lift the weight, you are lifting the weight of the bucket. It's an empty bucket, but you have to lift that weight as well. So that limits some of the weight that you can have on the forks. Also, the forks are a good 22 inches out from the place here where it joins on to the lift. That's 22 inches extra that's added on to the length from our pivot point here. That 22 inches limits some of the weight I can lift as well, because it sticks out so much farther. Now when you get up and into the tractor, you can't see the forks unless you stand up, take a peek, line them up. Maybe have to go up another time just to double check, get those forks to go in, especially if they're going into something that's pretty crucial. So there's three things going on here: the weight of the bucket, the length that they stick out farther, and lack of visibility. So we're going to try to correct those so that we'll be able to see what the forks are doing all the time, shorten the length down, and get rid of the weight of the bucket. Okay, these are quite easy to remove. Put them on and take them off. Doesn't take long. But like I said, there's a disadvantage to them. Now we're going to get rid of the bucket. And now the plan is to find a way to fasten these onto here in such a way that I save the weight of the bucket. I bring them back in 22 inches, gain some more lift, and so somehow this has to be attached right in here. So that's the project. Well, at this stage in the project, we've got a frame made that's going to sit on the front. Like that. You can take the handles and crank it down. Okay. Now on that frame, we'll be able to drive up behind it. And that frame, we still have to work on a way of hooking the forks onto the frame. Once the forks are on the frame, drive up behind it, just like we did to the bucket, and with the quick connect, stick it on. Okay, it's in parts now. We're going to get the edge ground off, get rid of the yellow. Cut on an angle, and with the paint ground away, that will go on there. Okay, we're ready to tack up that joint. Once it's tacked in place, then we'll go over to the arc welder and actually completely fill it in. We've got this lined up nice. We've got the side all nice. Everything's clamped and ready to go. Now with the clamps removed, we can take and weld up the backside. Okay, when it comes to joining the pieces together, cut them on 45 angles, tack the corners, and then it'll be a case of filling in. One pass down the center, another pass on top. Maybe. Okay, the pin we just welded into the bottom here. And then angled it to match the 45. It's going to sit into the hole. So it can be adjusted all the way along. And now we will set the height for the top. Just clamp that up straight. And this here is welded onto the yellow. And then it will sit on top of the framework. Pin in the bottom, anchored at the top. I can move it anywhere I want to. And just to confirm, the pin on the end goes into those holes. And then there's a 2-inch angle iron on top of the 2-inch angle iron to hold the top. And it can be slid along there at any point. We can put it. So now that we got the height in place, we want to confirm that we have 3 inches on both sides here. Confirm that this is running vertical. Okay, it's all clamped into place. We're going to come around the back side here. Spot weld it, 2 spots. Then we can pull it off the tractor, take it to the arc welder, and stick weld it in to place. We're ready to adjust the height of this. We put this 8-inch piece of angle iron on top of the main rack. And I'm going to tack weld
The 2 bends are capped off. Well, the welding is done on one.
And it should sit on the rack. And now that it's a prototype, we just really make sure it fits perfect and then match the second one to it.
Half circle brackets being notched. These brackets are for the locking pegs.
Okay. Use the tap and die to thread this so that I can have a pivot. So I've got this tap now for a 1/4 by 20 bolt. There we go. That should work there. And that will give me a pivot so I can have a little cam that will anchor it so that it won't slide off that pivot. Okay, I got my 1/4 inch bolt in there, threaded in, then a nut on it, tightened a couple of spacers, and we'll just tack weld it on place. First coat of Kubota orange. Goes on a little thin right now.
Well, the project is wrapping up. I did not show earlier these little cam type toggles that could slide right in there and lock it in place, especially when you come to the place where you want to tip the forks and let something roll off. I didn't want the forks from dropping out. So that's quite simple. Otherwise, there, the project has been completed. And our goal was to bring the forks back closer to their pivot point, get rid of the weight of the bucket, and make it so that we can actually see the tips of the fork when you're sitting in the seat. Because otherwise the bucket hid them all the time.